The Montana sky stretched wide and endless over the ranch. Golden grass swayed in the wind. The mountains stood quiet in the distance, and on that land, everything was changing. Daniel Carter had owned this ranch his whole life. It once belonged to his father and his grandfather before him. But times were hard now. 3 years of drought, rising feed prices, bank loans he could no longer ignore. And in the middle of it all stood Dusty. Dusty wasn't just a horse. He was family. Daniel had raised Dusty from a foal. The chestnut stallion had once been the fastest horse in the county, strong, fearless, proud. But time is undefeated. Dusty was old now. One back leg was injured from a fall last winter. Arthritis stiffened his joints. He could barely run. And on a ranch where every animal needed to earn its keep, an old horse was a luxury Daniel couldn't afford. That night, Daniel sat at the kitchen table, bills spread out before him. Across the room, his 8-year-old daughter Lily was drawing a picture. It was always the same. Her dad, and Dusty. "Daddy," she asked softly, "Dusty's gonna get better, right?" Daniel swallowed. "Yeah, sweetheart," he lied gently. "We're working on it." But the truth sat heavy in his chest. Tomorrow, a livestock buyer was coming. Dusty would be sold. The next morning felt different, quieter. Dusty stood in the pasture, sunlight glowing against his aging coat. Lily ran to him, wrapping her small arms around his neck. "You're my best friend," she whispered. Dusty lowered his head, breathing softly against her shoulder. Daniel turned away. He couldn't watch. Around noon, Daniel heard tires crunching on gravel. The buyer had arrived. A tall man in a worn hat stepped out of his truck. "You the one selling the old stallion?" he asked. Daniel nodded. They walked toward the pasture together. But Lily wasn't there. "Lily?" Daniel called out. No answer. He scanned the property. Then he saw it. Near the back fence, by the tall grass, Lily was sitting in the field, right beside Dusty, and only a few feet away, a rattlesnake, coiled, hissing, ready. Everything slowed. Daniel's heart stopped. "Lily!" he shouted. The snake's tail shook violently. But before Daniel could move, Dusty did. The old horse, the one who could barely run, charged with a force Daniel hadn't seen in years. Dusty positioned himself between Lily and the snake. The rattlesnake struck. Dusty stomped. Again and again, until the snake lay still. But in those seconds, the snake had bitten him. Lily screamed. Daniel reached them just as Dusty stumbled. His strong legs gave out beneath him. "Daddy," Lily cried, shaking. "He saved me." Daniel dropped to his knees beside the horse he had raised. Dusty's breathing was heavy. Foam gathered near his mouth. The venom was working fast. "Call the vet," Daniel shouted to the buyer, who stood frozen nearby. The man grabbed his phone. Minutes felt like hours. Daniel held Dusty's head in his lap. "Stay with me, boy. Please." Lily sobbed into Dusty's neck. "You can't go. You promised." The vet arrived in record time. Anti-venom, injections, emergency treatment. They worked fast, but the vet's face said everything. "He's old, Daniel," she said quietly. "It depends on how strong he wants to fight." Daniel looked down at Dusty. This horse had worked through storms, through winters, through injuries. And today, he fought for Lily. That night, Daniel sat in the barn, alone. Dusty lay on soft hay, barely moving. Daniel placed a trembling hand on his neck. "I was going to sell you," he whispered. His voice cracked. "After everything you've done for us." A tear fell onto Dusty's coat. "You didn't hesitate to save my little girl." He took a deep breath. "I won't hesitate either." The next morning, the sun rose slowly over Montana. Lily ran into the barn. "Daddy?" Dusty was standing, weak, but standing. The vet smiled. "He's a fighter." Daniel nodded. "No," he said softly, "he's family." That afternoon, Daniel called the bank. He sold a piece of unused equipment instead. He picked up extra shifts at a neighboring ranch. He cut expenses wherever he could. But Dusty? Dusty stayed. Months passed. Dusty never ran the way he used to. But he didn't need to. He watched over Lily, walked beside her, protected her. And every evening, as the Montana sky turned gold, Daniel would stand by the fence, watching the two best friends together. And he understood something deeply now. Animals don't measure worth in dollars. They measure it in loyalty, in love, in protection. One evening, Lily looked up at her father. "Daddy?" "Yes, sweetheart?" "Dusty's a hero, right?" Daniel smiled. "The bravest one I know." He looked at the old horse grazing gently in the field. A horse he once thought was a burden, but who proved he was priceless. Because sometimes, the ones we think are too weak, too old, too broken, are the ones who save us. And when loyalty stands beside you in your darkest moment, you never turn your back on it again.